What do you mean by thinking in the other disciplines?
Well, for example, if I'm studying literature, I think it's very important that I can draw inferences from what I read, and that I can eke out meaning for myself. Now, to the extent that I've been given practice in drawing inferences, in question formation, in suggesting alternative hypotheses about what a paragraph might mean, to that extent, it seems to me that when I go to literature class, I'm going to be just that more prepared to involve myself in literary thinking.
I think that generally in education nowadays, we recognize the difference between merely acquiring information in a given subject area, say acquiring dates and places in history, or acquiring information about arithmetical operations. There's a difference between that kind of acquisition of information and actually thinking historically, thinking arithmetically, thinking geometrically, thinking dramatically, thinking in any of the disciplines that are studied in the school. There's a difference between just acquiring the information and processing it and being involved in it and having a conception of the whole discipline at the time that you work in any of it.
You mean that it's not the same to think about a discipline than to think in the discipline?
Yes, it's very different. To think in history, to think historically, means that when something would happen, say a revolution breaks out in some part of the world, and if you're thinking historically, you will understand how important revolutions are and what their significance is to the neighboring countries and what the significance is to the world at large and what has led up to this revolution and what will follow from it. It's to think in terms of the antecedents and causes and the consequences. And that kind of reflective understanding of the whole of history would inform every particular incident that you study in your course in history, as opposed to just learning that there was a certain place and date in which something occurred. And now, somehow or other, we have to prepare children to think in their subjects. And that means if you stimulate their thinking in philosophy so that they think more rigorously and at the same time they think more creatively, more imaginatively, then you will prepare them to enter into these other disciplines more readily.